Go ahead.
Rolling?
Rolling.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Hardworking Happy Hour. I'm Sean.
And I am Catherine, and as always, we will be breaking down all things trades, entrepreneurship, and turning your creativity into a passion career.
And this week, we have a very special guest with us. We have none other than Mr. Scott Kelly.
Yeah.
Yay! Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Welcome to the podcast.
I am stoked to be here.
Well, you are one of our biggest supporters, one of our greatest listeners and sharers of podcast lore. And now we're here. We're out in Colorado, in your home state.
Yeah.
And figured we had to get you on.
Definitely.
I'm thrilled to be here.
Well, we're thrilled to have you, Mr. Kelly.
Do you want to give a little update as to why we're on the road?
Oh, sure. Didn't we talk about it? We talked about it a little bit last week.
A little
we had
bit,
to do a
but-
speaking engagement.
Yeah.
Speaking engagement now done.
We are at the,
fairly
say what
well.
we're at. Yeah.
Went pretty well. Neither
Very
of us
well.
went very well. Thank
well.
you so
Thank
much.
you.
We talked. We had slides.
Yeah. And what is this event? You're talking
we're
a
at
lot
the-
about yourself. Give a little bit of a...
For that, I do apologize. We are here at CDX at the Deck Superstore in Commerce City, Colorado.
Yes.
It's pretty cool. It's I've never been to a deck-specific supplier, but this place is a huge operation, big enough to put on their own trade show, which
Yeah,
is
it's
pretty
pretty cool.
You think?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had never been in a deck store before today, and it's pretty great.
Yeah, not just a store, Superstore.
Superstore. It is pretty
Superstore,
super.
so-
Yeah.
And they asked us for some reason to do the keynote speech. They must have been pretty desperate, but we did that. It's over, and
Yep.
now we have the opportunity to have Mr. Scott Kelly on the podcast. And what do you think we should get into some interesting stuff?
Sure, yeah.
You think so? Okay,
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a good idea. We're going to ask him some good questions, and should we just get into it right now?
Yeah.
I guess so.
Better
Scott.
late than never.
Yeah, yep. Scott Kelly, you do many things so well. You are a man of great stature and power, and I guess your biggest thing is steel framing on decks. Why?
Well, let's go back to last week's episode that you guys did with the start with why.
Like a true listener, I love that.
Yeah.
Love that.
You as a builder, you tear out so many decks that are just rotted and falling apart and at a very short service life, and you look at the hardware holding that deck together, and the hardware looks like it was put in last week, and it was kind of like, well, why don't I just build the whole thing out of that?
This is interesting. And what I have learned just being out here talking to you and some other builders today is just how different the climate is here. It's so dry that wood tends to do some funny things out here. So, it's some problems that we don't encounter as much in our area. So, we haven't had those kind of problems, but it's interesting to hear we're in a different spot and the climate affects it so much differently. So, yeah.
Definitely a huge difference. Yeah, we don't, you guys have humidity and we don't. And I mean, you have boards out here that will literally pull themselves out of a joist hanger because they shrink so much. And so
There's like no humidity here?
no, almost
Not even in
almost
the summer?
none. No.
Really?
Colorado
Sounds so nice.
technically it's a net dry climate, so we're pretty much a desert when you really get down to it. And a lot of people look at everybody's like, oh, you've got skiing and this and that and the other thing, but actually Denver itself gets more sunshine than San Diego does statistically, so it's a very dry climate, especially at the lower elevations.
Okay. And one more question. Is it Colorado or Colorado? I never knew it was two different words until I got here, and everyone says Colorado.
I think it depends on if you grew up here or if you moved here.
Okay.
It's kind of like if you're from here, you say mountains, and if you're not, you say mountains.
Sounds like you said the same thing twice. So what do you say, Colorado or Colorado?
I say Rado.
Rado?
Okay.
I think I say Rado. Unless I'm having a really good time, then I say Colorado. It's rad.
Rad.
All right, so a couple things that I want to get into on this episode that I think you'll have some interesting perspective on is a couple things I know about you are you're very passionate about what you do. You're passionate about perfecting your craft and doing things for the right reason, and you're also somebody that is doing a lot of this work solo a lot of times, and it's pretty cool to see some of the scale projects that you do. And you're doing a lot of that on your own. So talk to us a little bit about what are some of the challenges that you've had being a smaller, sometimes solo contractor out on a job site, and also what are some of the benefits?
Man, challenge is definitely got to just be the scale, like you said. There's components of projects that are 400 plus pounds that I pretty much got to figure out how to move around by myself, and
that wouldn't probably be a problem for somebody like me, but I could see how that would.
Obviously. I haven't perfected lifting with my voice yet. I'm still working on that one.
I love all these references to the pod. You really do listen. You really do.
I do.
I love that.
I think probably the biggest advantage, and I've talked about this with other like smaller companies or solo guys, and I think even with you, with keeping your scale smaller, is that when you're small, you don't have to sacrifice attention to detail and being particular because you're trying to keep production up to meet your overhead.
Yeah. I think that's a really good point, and that's something that I leveraged early on, especially because if you are the one that's out there doing most of the work, it's almost impossible to lose money on a project. Yeah, you're going to make a little bit less if it takes you a little bit longer, but when you are at that small scale, you can make decisions like, you know what, I want to do this extra little detail. You don't have the overhead of a huge weekly payroll that you have to keep up with, so, you can be a lot more flexible, which I think is really cool, and, gives you more freedom.
It does, yeah. And I said, you can change things on the fly a lot easier than, there's not a production manager or, you got to have a commitment to have a crew somewhere 2 days later. And if you change this one detail, you blow a whole schedule. There's definitely some advantage in the flexibility there.
Now, do you talk to yourself a lot on the job site? I think that would be the hardest thing for me. Is just like not having anyone to talk to. I would go completely mad. I would just be out there having conversations with myself and cracking some good jokes.
No, it's actually pretty quiet on the job site unless there's a mistake made, and then
you scream.
There's a 5-10 minute period of some colorful language. Or
I'm just imagining right now, like people in downtown Denver, like they just hear an echo off the mountains, like a lot of expletives, and it's you up in the mountains building something, and you mess something up. I could see that.
Yeah,
I could see that.
It happens.
You listen to music on the job site?
No, not usually.
Just sounds almost peaceful.
Oh, yeah, like meditative.
Yeah.
Almost, yeah. It's kind of, it unnerves a lot of people because in a previous life, I worked in the nightclub industry, so I tend to value my silence, so like I don't. I'll listen to an audiobook or something in the truck, but I don't typically even drive in the truck with the radio on. It's just
the sound of your own breath.
Yep, pretty much.
Very interesting. I think that would also make me go mad. I don't know if I'm cut out to do that. And what is one? Because I think a lot of people that listen to this can probably relate to, either just being on a small scale, maybe being out there in the field, maybe being a solo operator a lot of the times, and that can not only be a lot of work. It can be overwhelming because everything falls on you. It can also, feel even more lonely. Being a business owner is lonely as it is, and add on top of that, you're by yourself all day. So I think a lot of people can probably relate to what you go through on a daily basis. How do you get past, because when we're on projects sometimes, I tend to get overwhelmed because, compared to a lot of people, we have kind of a small crew, and when you're on a big project, you get over that initial rush of progress, and then you get to the point in the job where you're not quite halfway, there's still so much to do, and you kind of start to get a little bit like burnout. And when you're solo, if you're not getting stuff done, nothing is getting done. So it's something that I find difficult sometimes, but we still have multiple people that even if we're all feeling like that, it's not all falling on one person. Do you ever feel like you kind of get burnt out on a larger project?
Yeah, it's definitely a struggle sometimes where especially when you get to like the detail work where, you're doing the track saw stuff and it's, you're there all day and you leave and you don't feel like anything's done because, it's like you've talked about, you do framing and it's like you go from nothing to this a whole bunch of square footage really fast.
Yeah.
And then you get into your detail work and it's like, okay, I mitered my corners and I pocket hole screwed my stair treads and I made 10 stair treads today and I was here all day and it's like,
yeah,
man.
Yeah. So you're probably one of the more passionate builders that I know. Where did that passion come from?
I think that comes from, we're all sort of the sum of our experiences, I guess. So before I did decks exclusively, I was kind of doing a little bit of everything, and I actually was doing I was doing a whole bunch of roofs at one point, and I did a roof replacement for a neighbor of mine, Mary Ellen. She was a retired lady. She was probably in her 70s or something like that. And she had like a kitchen addition put on. And then we got a hailstorm, and I went to redo the roof, and the guys that did the addition did everything wrong. And basically stepped through the roof trying to take the shingles off, and I had to go to this sweet lady who was living on retirement income, and was like, I gotta basically like rebuild the whole roof of the addition of your house. And I remember to this day that she's in her kitchen and she just lost it. She's crying and she's like, where am I going to get the money for this? And now, like, I can't, like, she didn't even want to pick out the shingle colors because she's like, this is always something that my husband would do. And and then I've been on, as a deck builder, I've been on both spectrums where I've had these people that are just kind of like, money wasn't really that big of a concern. And then I've had the unfortunate thing where I've come in and people have paid large sums of money for something that was done completely wrong. And, there was another couple where they were like talking about divorce because they were fighting about this deck that, the husband had signed off on this crew, and like we had to tear the whole thing down, and it was 6 months old. So I think that's where it comes from is, there's deck builders that talk about, well, we're building decks, we're not saving lives or blah, blah, blah. And, there's a lot of truth to that. But the flip side of that is when you see people that have had that opposite experience where like they get a project that's so bad that it just like it drains them physically, it drains them financially.
Yeah.
I had one client who they had a lakefront house, and they had this beautiful house, and they had a walkout deck on their master bedroom, and the wife wouldn't use it because as a child, she had a deck fall off her house.
Oh,
and
geez.
so she was scared to death to use her own deck at her own house. So when you see that negative thing, I sort of like take that under my wing or take it personally, and it's just like I don't want anybody to ever have that experience.
Right. You want it to be done right.
I think it also, I think some people can become a little bit, I guess, desensitized to the fact that we are working for people that saved for a project like this, and whether it is a huge project for your company, like it's, $200,000, or it's a $30,000 or $40,000 project, like either way, it's a big investment for some people. And a lot of times that $30,000 or $40,000 deck is a bigger investment for that client than somebody that can afford a $150,000 or $200,000 deck. So I always took that very personally, that, these people, they sacrificed a lot of other things that they could have spent this money on. So I think people always have to be mindful of the fact that you take on that responsibility of everything that they've put into it, and obviously you owe it to them to deliver a quality product. And unfortunately, some contractors and sometimes the industry in general has a reputation for hearing a lot of the stories like you're telling, and not necessarily hearing a lot of the experiences where people do a great job. It's
right.
It's the job where somebody gets completely ripped off from a contractor. It gets a lot more press than you coming in afterwards and doing a great job and treating them right and making it right. So
it's that whole thing about people will tell one person about a great job, but they'll tell 10 people about a bad job.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So you obviously take a lot of this personal. You take a lot of pride in not only what you're doing, but the service that you're providing for your clients. And being that you are solo a lot of the time, you're the one that's selling it, you're designing it, you're building it. What's a typical experience like for a client? Because we get pretty close with our clients by the end of a project, and I imagine you probably have the same experience. Mm-hmm. Typically.
Yeah, very much so. I think part of my sales process has been that I take a lot of pride in that I'm building a relationship with that client as much as I'm building them an outdoor space. It's not. I think it's about 2 years ago now. I would say the highlight of my professional career was we did a project for a client who their daughter was getting married, and it was right during COVID, so they had lost their wedding venue because obviously everything was closed down. So they really upped their budget, and they basically were like, well, we're going to build a space to host our daughter's wedding. And so we finished the space, and we were actually invited to the wedding, and the father of the bride literally stopped the reception and called me and the two guys that were working with me at the time forward in front of the whole wedding party and introduced us to all of the guests and thanked us for building the space. And
that's quite a referral.
Yeah, there's all kinds of awards out there, but I don't think I could top that.
That's pretty. There's not going to be a lot of opportunities for a project like that, which is super cool. Did he ever say anything like, I wish you were the one that was marrying my daughter? No. Anything? No, he didn't try to. Okay.
No, nothing like that.
That could have got weird. That could have gotten awkward.
Yeah, no, we got that amazing experience and that awesome opportunity, and we actually have gone back for some dinners on a couple different occasions with the whole family, and you know, they've got grandkids, and you know, their grandkids play with my son, and so it's, you know, that I think that's those experiences is what really makes it, I don't want to say difficult, but really deters my ambition to scale.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, I think there's always, you're going to sacrifice something about the company if you decide to scale. You know, you're not going to have, you might have some similar experiences, but you're not going to have an experience like that. And I think a lot of things in the industry now get lost in this like pursuit of scaling everything. And, you know, at the end of the day, I think a big chunk of why we do this is because we just enjoy it. You know, you're at work for a long time. I feel like work is almost all I do. You know, I don't have any hobbies. I don't have anything like that. Like I want to more than anything enjoy what I'm doing every day. And that might, you know, make me miss out on some opportunities for scaling. But I think there's a lot to be said for kind of knowing where you want to be and accepting that and getting a lot of fulfillment out of that. Like you obviously get a lot of satisfaction out of the experience that you provide your clients. You take it very personal. And I think sometimes in the industry you hear stuff like that almost talked down upon, like you have to be scaling, you have to get another crew. And it's like, but why? You know, you're making a living, you're building a really great brand, you have a very unique experience that you can provide your client. And, you know, like we talked about in the presentation we did, you can leverage that, you know, and people will be willing to pay a premium for that type of experience. So I think that's really cool.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think you can. I don't think I, at least, could step away from that moment when you get to see somebody that you've been working for actually use the space that you've made for them.
Yeah.
That I don't know of, you know, guys that on big scales that never actually step foot on the job site. Like,
yeah,
I don't know if the change is worth it to me right now.
Yeah, I think so. I think that was something that I experienced a little bit probably 4 or 5 years ago. It was like at the very beginning stages of kind of going down that road of potentially scaling, getting to 2 crews, and I was focusing a lot more on selling and all that kind of stuff. And, you know, over the course of that year, I was doing a lot more of the stuff that I didn't like and I wasn't good at. And I was like, you know what? Not only are these not my strong suits, but I don't like this that much. Like, I hate all these parts of it, doing permits and paperwork and ordering more materials and setting things up and keeping everybody busy. So I realized pretty quickly that let me figure out another way to grow the business that's going to appeal to the things that I actually like doing.
Right.
Did that make sense?
That made sense, yeah.
You think so?
I do, yeah.
Okay, that's good.
I think it's, you know, it's like you were saying, you gotta determine what your own version of success is and what is the value add in your own business to you.
Yeah.
And, you know, like I said, you know, knowing the birthdays of clients' kids and, you know, being on, like I'm sure you guys have done when you're saying you interact with, you know, your clients' kids. Like, if we've got it, like, you know, we'll have a job where we've got a skid steer on site and the client has a little boy that's 5 or 6 years old, and it's like, you know, you get the permission from the parents and you throw that kid in the skid steer with you for 20 minutes. And
did you get the permission of your insurance agent on that?
They don't need to know.
Yeah.
This podcast isn't going out anywhere. Don't worry about it. They won't know.
But those are, you know, those are the kinds of things that's the value add, and that's the version of success that I'm comfortable with.
And I think one thing that's kind of interesting about what you're doing is you'd be really hard pressed to find somebody that could replace you in the field, because you've kind of invented a lot of the techniques that you're doing with framing with steel. So it's not like there's not really like a prescription of how to do this out there. You're kind of making up and innovating a lot of the ways that you're doing things on the fly. So, and I think I get the sense that that is something, just the trying new things, and I see you get really jacked up about a seemingly minuscule improvement on a process of something that you do. You get really jacked up about that little bit of innovation.
Yeah,
is that right?
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. You're getting all giddy. Just
yeah. No, it's. I mean, it's kind of like. It's almost like playing with Lego, except I'm the factory too. So, like, if there's a piece that I want, I can make my own Lego piece, so to speak.
It's a really interesting way to put it. I like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
That'd be pretty cool.
I have a question. I'm not sure if I should save it for the secret question, but I kind of want to ask it now.
Go ahead.
Okay. Are clients ever scared of you when you first show up? Like, do clients ever say to you, like, Scott, I'm not going to lie, I was a little intimidated by you at first, and then I realized that you're so, like, such a big teddy bear. Anyone ever say that to you?
I think once or twice people have been hesitant, let's say, to like.
They're like, when's this guy going to hit me?
move the conversation like to the kitchen table, so to speak.
Yeah.
Especially being somebody that not typically isn't very outspoken.
Yeah. Quiet, reserved, big, deep voice. Can be intimidating. But then you start talking.
I think the real question is, are you intimidated?
I'm so scared. Oh, God. Scott, don't hit me, please. No, I'm so used to it. I work next to Anthony every day.
That's true.
So I'm above average height. Let's get that straight, okay?
Right.
I'm almost 5'11", so let's get that on the record. So, did you just say I was lying? I'm not lying.
I didn't say you were lying.
We'll get a tape measure out, I swear.
Yeah, we'll get a tape measure. You guys can stand back to back, and we'll see who's taller.
Okay, sounds good. Yeah, what other things do you want to kind of address? You know, what do you think is driving you next in business and in the industry? You know, what gets you excited?
Man, I think honestly, just I
being on this podcast.
That's tremendously exciting.
Wow.
You can tell by my stumbling over my words. Probably pick up the beat red in the footage too, but
yeah, we can, and we'll amplify that with some effects. Yeah.
A little Rotten Tomatoes headshot there. I think for me, I think the trend of seeing more and more people willing to trade ideas, exchange information is really exciting. I think the willingness of people to sort of discard the "you're my competition" is good. There's a lot of that here, and I think I'm excited about what social media it obviously has its downsides, but I really am excited about what it does for the industry as a whole. You guys specifically, you have this huge footprint that somebody like me I'm probably never going to have. Like, I'm not
with that attitude.
Not with that attitude. Like, I don't have this huge YouTube exposure. I don't have this huge Instagram following. But because of people like you, I think of like Deck South, John, I think of, Varney with Dock and Deck, Blake out in California. Like, there's all these people that are doing these just phenomenal projects, and social media brings that to the masses. And then, like, I don't have the eye for design that you do, but because of
Not with that attitude.
I just don't. Let's be honest. Like, you know, that's not like you talk about. You got to identify your strengths. Like, that's not. There's certain visual things that I'm not going to see that.
What would you say your strength is? About probably 200 pounds?
Yeah. But, you know, social media puts that out there, and now a client of mine can see something that I would have never thought of, but they're like, wow, this is amazing. Can I have something like this? And, you know, like you guys have put that blueprint or that footprint out there, and now it's available to a client of mine where it would, like, if I had to come up with my own, it would have never been something that they could have, because it's not something I would think of.
You're welcome.
I appreciate it.
Just kidding. Yeah, I think that's something that from the very beginning was such a cool aspect of social media, was just the community aspect of it.
Yeah.
It obviously was a really instrumental piece for me growing the business, getting local leads, all of that kind of stuff was you know, one of the main objectives from the beginning. But it was another like unforeseen benefit of getting on social media, was like this sense of community. And I think you know, I mean, that's how we know each other,
right?
And now we've known each other for, I don't know, a long time, probably, right?
Yeah, a couple of years now,
maybe like 5 years even. I don't know. It's been a while.
It's been a while.
But I think that's something that like wasn't available to a lot of people before. Like there is this deep sense of community, and you can, you know, connect with somebody all the way across the country that is running a similar business, and you're going through similar struggles, and you can kind of help each other. Even if you don't have advice for each other how to handle something, you can just be like, yeah, been there, that sucks. And you're like, finally, somebody's been there. Somebody gets what I'm going through. I think that was such a unforeseen benefit of social media when I started. And then also the kind of playful competition of trying to do something new and cool.
Yeah,
you know,
well, I was going to say, I think that's probably one of the other things that's really great, is it allows, you know, the community and social media is allowing guys like myself who are smaller to still contribute positively to the industry. You know, I'll get somebody in, say, Canada or Minnesota that has a question about steel framing or something else, and it's like I get to help that person's client out too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a tremendous amount of satisfaction in that you can be part of sort of elevating the game of people outside of your own company.
Yeah.
I feel like that's one of your most admirable qualities. Now that I've been to several shows with you, you're so big on community, and you're always connecting people. You know everybody, and you're always like introducing people to people, or you're like, you got to meet this person, or like, I think that's so good for the industry, for like a person like you to connect people and having a positive influence through like just building this community.
I think it's, you know, you have to have appreciation for the people that come into your life that are good, and I've been fortunate to have a lot of great people cross my path. So it's when you can connect this great person that you've met with this great person that you've met, and now those people know each other. There's something really special and cool about that, I guess. So
Yeah.
And I think you're definitely one of the people that we've met through the internet, and it's interesting. I feel like there's, through these like trade shows and everything like that, like you meet a lot of people online, you interact with them a lot. You are one of those people, but it always takes that, you know, meeting in person to like, sometimes you can really connect with somebody online and like really get along, and then, you know, you kind of meet them, and it's kind of like building your brand. It's like, this doesn't seem like the same person, you know? It's like you can sense how genuine they are. So some people you'll kind of talk to online, then you'll meet in person, and it will like deepen that relationship. And some people it's like, we didn't actually really kind of like vibe that much. And obviously you are one of the people that we started talking to online. That's how we kind of met through one way or the other. I don't even remember. But now we've been to all these events together, and it's just kind of deepened the relationship. So I think it speaks to the importance of coming to events like this. Like, a lot of people think that, oh, I don't have time, I'm so busy with work, but there's this really valuable community aspect that it's hard to like put a definitive value on coming to a trade show or a, you know, whatever it is, but you know, it's something that I think we would be a lot worse off if we didn't come to so many of these events and like deepen relationships with people like you, Scott.
Well, I would agree. I think, you know, let's take Deck Expo or something, for example, and for me, like, the new products aren't necessarily, like, that's not what you're there for.
Yeah, you see
there's not nearly the value add of, you know, building that one relationship that you hadn't had prior to that event. And, you know, you find somebody that you can exchange a tip with, or you get, you know, one new Instagram account to follow, and they do some cool detail that and how much is that cool detail worth to you?
Yeah. I think it's really cool to have that sense of community, and it's like all of these like a little thing that you are changing with, say, like the way that you're building stairs. Like you've kind of went about that in a really unique way, you know, welding steel and all this crazy stuff, and I don't understand it. But other people that use steel understand it probably, and they're like, okay, I'm going to take this little tip, and like the fact that it's all out there, it helps accelerate the rate of like improvement in the industry. Whereas before it would be like, oh, this guy in my market, I saw he did this job and he did this one thing this way. Now it's like instantly that tip is out there, that method is out there, and if it's a good method, other people can kind of adapt that, and then they can start integrating that into their builds, and then they come up with a little bit of a tweak that makes it a little bit better, and it just like accelerates the progress of the whole industry, which obviously you're super passionate about. So I think that's cool.
Yeah. Absolutely.
You think that's cool?
I think that's cool, yeah.
You think that's cool?
I like to think so.
Sick. That's awesome. How long have you been rocking here on this?
37 minutes.
37 minutes, not too bad.
Yeah.
Not too
That's
bad.
fast.
Is that Eastern time or is that Mountain time?
Oh, yeah, I'm still in Eastern Standard
Yeah.
Time. I'm not sure how that translates.
Yeah. So, I guess we got another like 23 minutes. We got anything else? What do we got?
Do you want to talk about your nightclub days? What was that about?
Or should we? Should that?
Sure. What would you like to know?
I don't know.
Were you a bouncer?
I started as one, yes.
And then what?
Wait, let me guess. Were you the cooler?
No. I guess
You know what I'm talking about, right? Roadhouse? Patrick
No.
Swayze? He's the cooler.
I guess, yeah. You know, at one point I was. I believe there was actually a similar point to where I had a group of guys that were actually all bigger than me, and
you were the cooler.
Yeah. And
Can you explain that? What's that?
Okay.
What's a cooler?
Catherine, somebody comes up to you, yells in your face,
Yeah.
be nice. They step on your foot, and
They yell "Be nice" at me?
no. You've never seen Roadhouse?
No.
All right, I'm Patrick Swayze.
Okay.
R.I.P. I'm training the rest of my bouncers. I'm the cooler. You got to see the movie. It's really good. Do we have time to watch it right now? Anyway, somebody yells in your face. Be nice. Somebody throws a drink in your face. Be nice. Always be nice until it's time to not be nice. It's pretty sick. I think at the end he rips a guy's heart out of his chest, or what does he do?
throat, yeah.
Yeah, it's so crazy. It's pretty sick. It's awesome.
I'm going to take your word for it because none of that makes sense.
No, it doesn't. Now that I'm saying it out loud, it makes no sense. But I guess he's trained in martial arts or something. I don't know. He looks like pretty small. He's pretty ripped in the movie, but,
Okay.
you know, not your typical bouncer, but
Not what you would typically think of, no.
no. You got to see it.
No, I'll
Really
give
good.
it a watch.
You've seen it.
I've seen it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You lived it. Was it based on you?
No. I was in a little bit different nightclub setting than that particular nightclub.
Is there anything that you want to expand upon with that? Or should we just leave it at that?
we could expand upon it as much as you
All right,
would
throw
like.
out one good.
Give us a good
What
story.
kind of nightclub were you working in?
I did pretty much the gamut of nightclubs. Your standard, nightclubs. I worked in the gentleman's nightclub industry for a while. So, yeah.
Did they get out of control?
You look like you would be like really.
Let's just say that
You would have no tolerance for people getting out of hand in a situation like that, being disrespectful.
I had a very short fuse for people being disrespectful. Yeah, that was kind of my thing.
Even then, you were very passionate about people and their experience.
I was very passionate about people and their experience. Super passionate about the people that worked for me. I did not tolerate people that did not treat my people well. We can leave it at that. There was that escalated to let's not be nice very quickly. Typically,
Yeah. You always got to be nice until it's time not to be nice, and sometimes that's right away. I'll have to watch it again to see like what
Sometimes
is
that's right
the
away.
what the
It's
tipping
true.
point is. But such a good movie, you got to
Yeah.
watch it.
Okay, I'll
We'll
watch
check
it.
it out. Okay.
Yeah, but some of that experience definitely transitions over to what I do now.
Yeah.
Especially learning about what selling value and not price. Because, and let's be honest, anybody that's gone out to a bar, to a restaurant, like you have to have perceived value there, because why are you going to pay $8 for a beer at a bar that you could buy the same beer for 85 cents and drink it at home? So,
That's a good point.
There's definitely some learning to create value in what you do by being in that industry.
Never thought of that.
Never thought of that either. It's a great point.
Yeah.
We might use that.
Feel free.
Okay, thanks.
I
Appreciate
steal a
it.
lot of your stuff, so it's only
Appreciate
fair
it.
that
Appreciate it.
I
So
I could steal something back.
the memory, that you're spitting out these things that we said back at us. I'm impressed. Got a good memory. It's like a steel trap. I did that joke
Steel trap,
yesterday.
yep.
Steel.
Yep.
You're a steel guy. You're a steel guy. Hey, don't steal my ideas.
Right.
Or do. That's kind of why we're doing this.
Or
yeah,
do.
Yeah.
That's why we're doing this. So,
All right. Do you want to move to a secret question?
Yeah,
Do you want to do a
what-
secret question? How are we going to work this with 3 people?
I don't know. Did we ever do this before with 3 people?
I'm not
I
sure.
don't know if you've done the secret question with 3 people.
Oh, yeah.
I don't remember. Oh, we did it with Anthony, but I forget how that turned out.
Okay.
Okay, secret
Those are
question.
big shoes to fill.
Yeah, literally.
Literally.
We're trying size 13.
I'm
What
gonna
are you
try,
wearing?
Ant.
What size you wearing?
I'm 13s too.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
Same size shoe.
Are you guys the same height?
No, Ant's got me by like an inch or two. I think
Okay.
How
Okay.
tall are you?
6'3".
Okay, he's 6'5" and 3/16.
Yeah.
So-
At Expo, he had me by a couple inches.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
He's a tall guy. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
He's got me by like an inch or so as well. So
I know in the
Good one,
pictures it
Sean.
was really close between
Yeah,
the
it's
two
so
of
Yeah.
us.
close.
Yeah.
And
Did you
then
see on the
Ant-
last-
And then Ant was over the top, but
see the last there was a comment on the last YouTube video. They were like, I like how you're standing higher up on the trailer ramp so that you guys appear to be the same height, but you could tell by the just gargantuan scale of his hands that
His
something's not adding up.
hands
like-
did look really big
Yeah.
in that.
I was like, wow, you have such a keen eye for these things, because we also laughed about that
Yeah.
pretty good.
Yeah. He bought the same boots as me. We have matching boots, and I stuck my foot next to his the other day just for laughs, and it was like literally twice the size of my foot.
Yeah.
It's pretty great.
Yeah. But you also can wear
Anyway.
children's shoes?
I can, yeah.
Yeah, that's weird. Anyway.
Save some money.
Yeah. All right. Why don't you start this off? We'll go this way around. Secret question. What do you got? What do you got? What do you
Okay.
got?
Would you rather?
Ooh, love Would You Rather.
right? They're all the rage right now, the would you rathers.
Would you rather?
Do you call them Steel You Rathers?
No.
Get it? Wood? Steel?
Would steal.
Okay.
I need a second, Sean. Can you? You think?
You want me
of
to pop in? Okay.
Yeah,
I like
think of
the
one.
way you were going with the Would You Rather. Scott, would you rather make 10 times the amount of money that you made last year, but you can never build a deck ever again or do any construction stuff or you can continue, but you have to make half as much as you made. You can't continue at where you're at. You either have to make half the amount and continue working, or make 10 times as much, but you can never do any construction or building again. That was a pretty good one, right?
That's a good one. No building at all, like even on your own home?
Nope.
Right. That's
No.
what's the qualifier there? Like,
Can't use any tools. You got to hire somebody. You
So I
got to
can't,
call
like-
a clown like me.
What
out
about
to
like
build your deck.
Right, like, what
hanging a picture in your own house?
No.
Does that count? You gotta
If you
hire
can
somebody
do
to
it
do
too,
that?
if no tools.
If I can't, if I can't even like go in the garage and build stuff with my kid, then
No.
I'll take half all day long.
Yeah, I figured you were going to say
Yeah.
that. What would I do? What would I do?
Yeah, what would you do?
I hate to say it, but I think I would. I don't know. I think I would take the maybe 10 times as much, because I think it's just by pure happenstance that started a business building decks and patios. I think I could find something else to do to fuel my creative fuel, and I would have 10 times the amount of money to pour into that. So it would be sad. I would be very upset and very sad for a little bit, but I would buy a lot of tissues to wipe away the tears, which I could with 10 times the amount. It's pretty solid. But yeah, that's hard. That's a tough one.
That is a tough one.
What would you do? You could never.
I feel like I have a
be
loophole
director
here.
of Global, because why?
Because I'm married to a builder, so in my brain, I'm like, the fact that I couldn't even like hang a picture in my house, that would be like torture to have to hire somebody to do that for me.
But you would make him do it.
I could just make him do all my stuff.
How long is that going to take?
Probably longer than hiring somebody.
Okay.
No, yeah,
Cool.
I think I would still build, because if you think about it, if you can't use tools,
Then
use
you
tools
are
for
a
like
tool.
a lot of things.
It's true.
So
It's
I
true.
wouldn't be able to give that up, I think.
All right, Scott, you got a secret question for us?
Yeah, Scott, what do you got?
All right.
What do you got, Scott?
So if you could undo one mistake from your past, but it would cost you the life you have now, would you still undo that mistake?
No, of course not. Without my mistakes, I would be nothing. I am pretty much entirely made up of mistakes. So how could I
Some
even...
of all of your mistakes.
I'm the sum of all my mistakes right now. No, one thing I've always appreciated about myself, I've never been one to look back in the past. Maybe even to maybe I should more, but something I always heard was dwelling on the past is depression, and dwelling in the future is anxiety. I'm definitely more anxious than depressed, because I'm always thinking about what's next, and I get over the past super quick, and I don't care, and I always try to learn from my mistakes, so I would never change any mistake.
Okay.
You like that answer? That was
like
pretty
that
good. That was
answer.
pretty
That's a
good.
pretty
Yeah.
answer, yeah.
Sweet. Thanks. Appreciate it.
Very zen on the
Right.
depression and anxiety.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why I'm always anxious, because I'm
Yeah, what if
always
you have
living in
both,
the
though?
future. What?
If you have both.
Then you're screwed.
Yeah, guess so. Yeah, I don't think I would change any mistakes. I like my life, and I have made a lot of mistakes, but I've always trusted myself to work it out, and so far so good.
Yeah. You're out giving presentations.
Yeah.
From a bunch
Good
of deck builders.
presentations. Very informative and educational presentations at
Oh,
that.
thank you. Yeah.
Appreciate that.
What about you, Scott? What about your mistakes?
Only because I wouldn't give up where I'm at now.
Yeah.
But I would definitely say that if it wasn't for being a father and that sort of thing, there's definitely people in the past, mistakes I've made that hurt people that I would take back if I could.
You could like write those people a letter now, though.
Yeah.
I think about that a lot for the people that I feel like I've wronged.
Yeah.
I'd love to like write a letter, like a heartfelt letter. I would appreciate if someone did that to me. So I think
I don't want to sound like too much of an angel, but I don't know if I've ever really wronged anybody.
I bet
Have
people
I?
would disagree with that.
You think so? Probably. You're probably right. Yeah. Maybe it's just because I just get over it so quick. I'm
Yeah,
like,
you
give
just
a list
forgot
of
about
people
it.
that
Yeah.
feel wrong. So
yeah, you're probably right. I'm probably just like, whatever. I'm over it. I'm on the future now. So get over it. Who cares what I did? Yeah, I can't think of any offhand, but you're probably right.
Yeah.
You think so?
Maybe-
I'll dive deep on that.
yeah.
I'll get back
Do
to
a
you.
mental deep dive on that.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
ponder while doing your
that was
Pilates.
great.
Yeah.
Who, me?
Yeah.
I don't do Pilates. I know. Yeah, but I'm doing really good on my goals. I ran yesterday at the hotel. I am at, what am I at now? 31 miles. So I have like 8 days to do another 19.
I think you're going to do it.
Yeah, definitely. Of course I'm going to do it. I could do that in one day if I had to.
Right?
We believe in you.
With
Yeah.
that mindset.
Absolutely.
All right, what do you got? What do you got? What do you got?
all
You got a
right.
question?
Yeah, Scott, you're a big book guy. Big audiobook guy.
You don't like small books, though? Only a big book guy?
Only big books.
I like books and audio books.
So what give us your top 3 recommendations?
Ooh, top 3.
Well, let's say the top 3 that you feel have had the biggest impact on you.
Well, let's top 3. I think audiobook wise, I just finished listening to Never Finished, the new one from David Goggins.
Okay.
I just did that one. Wait, did I? What was this other one?
Can't Hurt Me was the first.
Can't Hurt Me. I don't know which one I did. I think it was
I
Can't
think
Hurt
you
Me.
did Can't Hurt Me because
Yeah.
you guys talked about that
Yeah.
one.
A little intense for me.
The audiobook of Never Finished is because of the bonus content with David and the other guy, and he actually has his mom.
Oh, really?
He
Aw.
actually interviews his mom to talk about when he was growing up, and that was pretty powerful. So
Yeah.
that's an awesome audiobook. Book to read. This will sound strange, but there was a book, I read it, I don't know how many times. It's The Mental Game of Baseball. And it's an awesome book for it. It obviously talks about baseball, but it translates across a lot of things, business, personal. One of the coolest things in that book is they talk about the difference between wanting something and wishing for something, and they basically break it down into terms of, a lot of people say that they want something, but they don't want to put effort into achieving what it is that they say that they want. Mm-hmm. So they qualify that as wishing for something, because wanting to say you want actually implies that you will take action. So that,
I like that.
Oh yeah.
that
I like that.
book also, it talks a lot about like visualization and that kind of thing. So it's actually a really good book just as a general read.
It's kind of like that book, Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance.
Yep.
I think this is not actually just a book about a road trip and motorcycle maintenance. The whole thing's a metaphor for life. So this one's maybe not all about baseball. It's about actually life.
Too.
Give us a number 3. What do you got? Number 3.
Probably one that I just finished fairly recently was Leaders Eat Last by Simon Sinek.
I just finished Start With Why.
Yeah.
I should do that one next.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Leaders Eat Last is a really good book, and it makes some really poignant examples of like what's going on with corporate America today, and it talks a lot about the investment in people and in culture, and how we've sort of lost sight of that, especially in, Wall Street corporate America, where we get so caught up in bottom line and shareholder value that, the people value gets overlooked. Mm-hmm. And he gives lots of examples of how, if you actually look long-term, companies that are paying attention to caring about their people actually perform better long term. And it's just, it's really cool because it gives really good examples and really timely examples of why it's important to actually, care about your fellow man and your employees.
Yeah.
He talked a lot about that in Start With Why as well, and I loved, that's like my favorite type of book. Is it's not necessarily like this is your blueprint, do this, then this, then this. It's more of just like a mental shift kind of book. Like think of these things in a different way. Those are always my favorite type of books, and he talks about that a lot. That you need to value your people, and a lot of times with companies that go do an IPO and now they're driven by Wall Street, they're so focused on the short-term profits and loss that they kind of neglect the long-term viability of their company, which ultimately a lot of times comes down to the people, and that's something that is kind of lost in a lot of the capitalist system. It's driven by so much short-term return that kind of long-term vision is not an option anymore.
Right.
So as a chief vision officer, as I am,
absolutely,
I take a great slight in that. I don't like that. So I'm gonna read that one next. I love that.
Should,
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, one of the best examples in the book is he actually compares he compares GE under Jack Welch, who in a lot of ways was considered this amazing CEO and did all this stuff with GE, and he compares them to Costco, and he actually shows you, over the period of 20 years or whatever, like Costco actually outperforms GE, and they have this culture of taking care of their people and benefits and this and that, and
I don't want to fully take credit for that, but I have been spending a lot of money at Costco, so they got me hook, line, and sinker. Whatever they're doing, it's working because I've spent a lot of money there. Cool. I don't think we need to go over books. We talk about books like every week.
Yeah.
We'll just keep that one as a Scott answer. So, Scott, thanks for coming on the podcast with
thank
us.
you so much for being here.
We really appreciate it. It was fun to kind of dive into some of those more introspective things. Once I said that out loud, I feel like we get pretty introspective every week. That's kind of what we do. Yeah. So it was fun to do that with you.
What you do.
Yeah. It is kind of what we do. So thanks for coming on with us, and
give Scott a follow. Precision.
Give Scott a follow. Yeah.
I can't talk. Precision Construction.
Colorado. Yeah,
CO.
it's a mouthful.
Right?
No, Colorado.
Is it Colorado?
It's spelled out Colorado, yeah.
It's spelled out Colorado.
Construction, Colorado.
On Instagram, we'll add a link to something.
We'll tag him.
Yeah, we'll do that.
Yeah.
You can do that?
I can do that.
You'll do that in the notes or whatever.
Yes, I can.
And also, we'll put an Audible link. Do we still do that?
Yep.
We'll do that with the books that he has suggested.
Some of the best $15 you can spend right there.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah. I love that. So I guess that's pretty much it for now.
Yeah.
High five.
I can't reach you, but I'll give you an air high five. Oh!
Whoa!
Finger
Hey! All right, well, till next time, this has been the Hardworking Happy Hour.
See you next week.